You're under oath. Those three words hit differently when aimed at someone who once demanded the FBI release every Epstein file and is now running that same agency, refusing to keep his own promise. What you're about to see is Congressman Raskin cornering Kash Patel with his own words, exposing a flip so dramatic it reveals whether he's protecting justice or protecting something else entirely.
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, before you joined the FBI, you railed against it for covering up Jeffrey Epstein's human trafficking ring. Let me refresh your memory with this clip.
It has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
So you finished that December 2023 interview with a challenge to the FBI and harsh words for Republicans in Congress for not getting the Epstein files out to the public. You can see this clip.
Boy pants, and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are, you said. You emphasized that the president and FBI director each had complete authority to release Epstein's client list. You said Epstein's black book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. Look at this clip.
This is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
black book?
Black book.
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
All right, so you were sworn in as director more than 200 days ago. Now the black book is under your direct control. So why haven't you released the names of Epstein's co-conspirators in the rape and sex trafficking of young women and girls?
The Rolodex, which is what everybody colloquially refers to as the Black Book, has been released.
Oh, no, you're talking about what the journalist got 5 years ago? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you were talking about there,
That's
the black
exactly
book
what I
under
was
the direct control of the FBI director.
We have released more material than anyone else before. The Biden administration, Obama administration had the exact opportunities to release this material, and they never did. And if you are selling the men and women of the FBI,
Why
we're
have
not
you
going after
changed your
child
position?
predators. Hang on, you said we're not going after child predators. 1,500 child predators arrested this year, 35% increase,
I'll reclaim my time.
4,700 child victims
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to
found.
reclaim my time if you could instruct the witness. Why have you changed your position? There you were saying it's under the direct control of the FBI director and all of it should be released. Why have you changed your position?
Everything that has been lawfully permitted to be released has been released. And as I told you,
Really?
the investigation was limited. And let me make something crystal clear. I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic other people, other women, and they're not other victims. This is the investigation we were given from 2006, 7, and 8, and the search warrants from 2006, 7, and 8. That's what we're working with.
Well, wait, have you released all of the stuff that the FBI has seized from Epstein's house? The computers, the emails, the file cabinets, the documents? What about the financial records? Have you released all of that?
Everything the court has allowed us to release.
Which court are you talking about?
3 separate federal courts have come in and said...
We're talking about the evidence you've got. It's got nothing to do with what those courts have.
Do you have any idea how the law works?
Wait,
do you want me to break the law in a federal judge's order?
No, I want you to
satisfy
follow your own
curiosity?
word, Director Patel. You said up there it was under the direct control of the FBI director. He had the black book.
Everything I have direct control over, we have gone to court. You haven't.
Complete your
We went
sentence.
to court.
Everything you have direct control over, you said.
Have gone to court, and everything we have direct control
Patel,
over.
complete your
and
sentence.
Can
You said everything.
lawfully release. We're releasing.
He'd like to complete his answer.
You began the sentence, everything you have direct control over, and then you stopped that sentence. You've released everything that you have direct control over?
And I have direct control over and can lawfully release. If you're not familiar with the court orders, that's not my fault.
Oh, I'm
Go
perfectly,
look at them.
I'm perfectly familiar
court.
with them. But how did we prosecute Ghislaine Maxwell?
She was prosecuted with the investigatory material that was collected from 2001 and 2005 because of the non-prosecution agreements and the court orders on the investigations and search warrants. We were not able to develop new information. And oh, by the way, Jeffrey Epstein was out for 12 years, and the Obama and Biden administration did nothing to look at his work, his pedophile network. If you want to blame me, that's fine. But now you're blaming the men and women who conducted this great search.
Stop that. I'm not blaming anybody other than you. You're not keeping keeping your word. You said that you would release all of the materials
Has
under your
anyone
direct
released
control.
more information on Epstein than I have? Has
Well,
anyone?
much
did
more.
Comey? Did Ray?
Much
Did
more.
they?
Excuse me. Much more has come out in the days since the American people in Congress have been demanding it. But it's coming out in dribs and drabs. Why don't you just release the entire file as you promised to do?
I literally just told you, there are multiple federal court orders. I'm not going to break the law to satisfy your curiosity. You didn't join us when we filed court to release the court orders. You could have. You have lawyers. You could have shown up. You didn't do that.
That's a tiny fraction of the material we're
That
talking
is
about.
not.
It is
How
a
do you-
tiny fraction.
How do you know that? Have you seen
No.
everything?
Time
It's
of the
all
gentleman.
misdirection.
How do you know
Time
that?
of the gentleman has expired.
What Congressman Raskin did in that exchange was a masterclass in exposing how power changes people and how intentional capture works in real time. If you want to understand why this matters beyond the headlines, listen to the pattern Raskin laid out and ask yourself what it means when someone becomes the very thing they once criticized. In December 2023, Patel was on podcasts railing against the FBI for sitting on Epstein's files, calling it evil, and demanding they put on their big boy pants and release everything. He specifically said the Black Book was under the direct control of the FBI director with complete authority to release it all. Fast forward to his confirmation hearing as nominee for that exact position. Suddenly, court orders matter. Suddenly, lawful procedures are paramount. Suddenly, everything that can be released has been released. That flip tells you something important about institutional power. When you're outside criticizing an agency, everything seems simple. Release the files, expose the truth, serve justice. But when you're about to run that agency, you discover the same legal constraints your predecessors faced. The question becomes, were those constraints always legitimate, or did Patel's rhetoric change because his interests changed? Raskin pressed on this because it goes to institutional integrity. If Patel genuinely believed the FBI director had complete authority to release everything, then his current position suggests either he was wrong then or he's being disingenuous now. Either option raises serious questions about his credibility and judgment. Federal courts have indeed issued orders restricting release of certain Epstein materials due to ongoing proceedings, privacy concerns, and evidentiary rules protecting future prosecutions. When Patel now claims he can only release what courts allow, he's technically correct. But that makes his previous claims that the director had complete authority either legally ignorant or intentionally misleading. Raskin's questioning exposed how political operatives use public anger for personal advancement. Patel built his brand attacking the FBI's Epstein handling, knowing public frustration with institutional secrecy would generate support. That strategy worked, positioning him as an outsider, willing to challenge the system. But now, positioned to lead that system, the same constraints he dismissed as excuses have become his justification for inaction. Watch how Patel's language shifted during the hearing. When pressed about his previous statements, he didn't say "I was wrong" or "I learned more about the legal constraints." Instead, he deflected, blamed previous administrations, and cited court orders as if they were new information. This rhetorical sleight of hand suggests someone more concerned with saving face than acknowledging reality. This pattern repeats when outsider critics become insider operators. Campaign promises become governing realities. Simple solutions become complex, legal challenges. The question isn't whether this transformation is inevitable, but whether nominees acknowledge it honestly and explain how their approach will differ despite facing identical constraints. What Raskin demonstrated was the importance of holding nominees accountable for consistency and honesty about challenges they'll face. If Patel had acknowledged his understanding, evolved, or that he'd learned about legal constraints, that would be different. Instead, his evasive answers suggested continued ignorance or unwillingness to admit error. This matters because FBI directors, serve 10-year terms to insulate them from political pressure. When a nominee's credibility is compromised by demonstrable inconsistency or partisan rhetoric, that independence becomes harder to maintain. Agents, prosecutors, and the public need to trust that decisions are based on law and evidence, not political calculation. The damage extends beyond Patel personally. When nominees flip-flop on core positions without explanation, it reinforces public cynicism about all government officials. Citizens start assuming everyone will say anything to get power, then abandon those promises once they have it. That erosion of trust makes every future reform harder to achieve. If you care about institutional integrity, treat this exchange as more than political theater. It's a warning about what happens when we allow political convenience to override consistency in public service. The next time someone promises simple solutions to complex institutional problems, ask whether they understand the constraints they'll face, and whether they're willing to acknowledge when those constraints make their promises impossible to keep.